Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel Iraqi Dinar Updates, your home for grounded, factual updates on Iraq's economic transformation, global trading relationships, and of course the journey of the Iraqi dinar. If you're tuning in today, you're doing what smart investors and informed watchers do. You're staying ahead of the curve, looking beyond the noise, and trying to understand what's really unfolding in Iraq. Today, I want to talk about something critical, something that a lot of people missed or maybe dismissed when it first happened. You may remember that nearly 2 years ago, the United Nations and other international observers were making very bold statements about Iraq's future. They were praising reforms, highlighting progress, and almost predicting that the country was ready for major financial re-entry onto the world stage. And while that was encouraging at the time, many of us felt they were being a bit premature. Now fast forward to today, and we're hearing those same messages again, only this time, they carry more weight. Why? Because this time, Iraq is actually delivering. The structures that were once just policy promises or political talking points are now being implemented. And one of the biggest reasons for that is the successful activation and enforcement of combating the financing of terrorism. That was the game changer. That was what brought Iraq back into a position of real financial security and sovereignty. Let's unpack this for a moment. For years, we've talked about the issues of corruption and influence, especially from Iranian-backed political actors who were using loopholes in Iraq's financial system to move money illegally. Specifically, the dollar auctions that were run through the Central Bank of Iraq had become a tool not for building a legitimate economy, but for siphoning billions into the hands of criminal networks and political proxies. These auctions were manipulated under the table, and the beneficiaries were rarely the Iraqi people. It was a cash cow for certain parties and a national liability for everyone else. But CFT changed that. Once Iraq got serious about combating the financing of terrorism, everything started shifting. This wasn't just a checkbox to keep the IMF happy. It was a national realignment. And one of the things we now know is that this financial clean-up wasn't just encouraged by international forces, it was demanded. The United States, the European Union, they weren't going to let Iraq step into the next level of global financial integration until those auction abuses were cleaned up and until Iran's shadow networks were dismantled. And yes, it's taken time. It's been frustrating. We've all felt it. But these things don't move overnight. Think about it, you're talking about dismantling years of corruption, retraining banks, enforcing new international laws, and modernizing financial infrastructure in a country that has endured war, sanctions, and political chaos. Yet somehow, through that chaos, Iraq has found clarity. Prime Minister Sudanese administration, whether you support it politically or not, has leaned heavily into financial reform. They've given the central bank the breathing room and authority it needs to finally enforce compliance both internally and externally. What this means for Iraq's trading environment is profound. We're now seeing increased alignment with the international banking system, including things like SWIFT code usage, FATF compliance, and improved Know Your Customer protocols. That's not just about red tape. That's about positioning Iraq to trade transparently, reliably, and competitively with the rest of the world. And that's why we're hearing those UN voices again, this time with more legitimacy. This time, their confidence in Iraq isn't just hope. It's based on progress. We're seeing it in Iraq's oil trading policies, in new agreements with neighboring Gulf states, and in more robust oversight of financial transactions. That's a big deal. It gives foreign investors confidence. It gives global banks confidence. And most importantly, it gives the Iraqi people a fighting chance at building a real middle class and a thriving national economy. Let's not forget that Iraq is one of the most resource-rich nations in the world. It has oil, gas, minerals, and a strategic location for trade. But for too long, those assets have been underleveraged due to instability and corruption. That's what CFT is undoing. It's not just a finance panacea, it's a foundation for economic rebirth. And while that rebirth doesn't happen in a flash, every move Iraq has made over the past year has brought it closer to that tipping point. Now let's connect this back to the dinar, because I know that's what most of you are focused on. A lot of people wonder, what's the holdup with the revaluation? The short answer is, it's happening. Not with a bang, but with a steady climb. The CBI has made it clear that this isn't going to be a free-for-all. They want stability before rate adjustment. And that's smart. You don't raise the value of your currency while the foundation underneath it is still shaky. But guess what? That foundation is hardening now. And as it does, the CBI gets closer and closer to a position where revaluing the dinar or even redenominating it to simplify and modernize the system makes complete sense. It's no longer just speculation. When you combine increasing reserves, CFT enforcement, removal of corrupt channels, rising oil revenues, and improving relations with financial giants like the US, the math starts to check out. The Forex markets are already watching. Investors are already preparing. It's not the matter of if anymore, it's when. But here's your reminder, don't get lost in hype. This isn't the lottery. It's a financial shift. And if you've been holding IQD for months or years, now's the time to get serious. Check the legitimacy of your notes. Understand your exchange options. Learn about your country's currency laws. Because when this move does go public, and I believe we're closing, the window may be short and the details may be precise. So, to wrap it up, what the United Nations said 2 years ago may have sounded like empty optimism, but today it's aligning with reality. Iraq has made strides. CFT wasn't just a checkbox, it was a turning point. And the removal of Iranian interference from within the financial system is one of the clearest signs that Iraq is reclaiming sovereignty, not just politically, but economically. That's what we've been waiting for. That's the signal we needed. If you found this update helpful, informative, or even just intriguing, hit that like button, subscribe to Iraqi Dinar Updates, and tape the notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. We're getting closer to that key moment, and when it happens, you'll want to be ahead of the crowd, not chasing it. Thanks for watching, stay sharp, stay informed, and as always, so stay ready. This is Iraqi Dinar Updates, and I'll see